Welcome to Stepping Out from the Top Team. I'm Oliver Johnston. Today I'm delighted to have Denise McGahan with us. Denise is a highly experienced coach and a member of the Stepping Out Coaching Collegiate. She's also got a particular interest in identity development, which she studied extensively, and part of that is the psychology of passion. Denise, you're very welcome. And let me start with an obvious question. What is passion?
Yeah, hello, Oliver. Great to be here. It's a good question, actually, because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding around the word passion. Oftentimes when you ask somebody, what are you passionate about? What's your passion? You can get a real sort of awkward silence or a bit of a schoolyard giggle around it. It's a bit misunderstood. But I'm interested in Bob Valleran's work on passion. He is the professor of psychology at Quebec University, and he's a motivational scientist, and he comes up with a great definition of passion. He says it's a strong inclination towards a specific object, activity, concept, or person that one loves, or at least strongly likes and highly values, that it's part of identity, and that it leads one to invest time and energy in it on a regular basis. And I think that's a good founding for what passion means. Particularly for me, what's interesting is when we find something that's meaningful and that has value for us, that's important to us, then we integrate it. It becomes part of who we believe ourselves to be, our sense of self, if you like. And so that for me, that's the core of passion and why it's so important to actually have a clear answer when someone asks you what your passion is.
And I suppose the obvious follow-on question in the context of people watching this interview will be considering stepping out from their senior position. Why does passion matter to people who are planning to step out?
Yeah, that's a great question. It matters because I think it's so much bound up into our identity. And when you're stepping out, effectively, you're creating a new identity for yourself, a new chapter. Quite apart from that, the research shows that if you have passion in your life, it leads to such healthy, positive outcomes. You have much better cognitive processes, you have better productivity and performance, better creativity, your relationships are better, your mental and physical health is better. So it matters in terms of building a rich life for yourself, that you're clear on what your passion is. But it has to be the right passion. And here's the interesting bit around the psychology of passion. Bob Valleran says there's a duality of passion. There are two different types of passion. The first is what he calls harmonious passion. And this is where it's something that you have freely chosen for yourself. It's an activity or a concept or a person that you freely chose. There's autonomy in that. And there's no contingency around that. You pick it because it's just enough in itself. You just love it yourself. And it complements the other aspects of your identity. There's space for other things in your life, like meaningful work or contribution, like important relationships. And that's harmonious passion. And that's the passion that brings all those positive outcomes I've described. The other type of passion is what Bob Valleran calls obsessive passion. And this is more of a coercive passion. You didn't necessarily freely choose it for yourself. It was maybe chosen for you by other people. You made yourself have this passion because there were contingencies attached. Because if you have this passion, then it says something about who you are. The ego's involved in it there, Oliver. It says something about self-esteem or status or acceptance in a particular social group. And that sort of obsessive passion can become overwhelming. It can take over a lot of your identity in your life. And oftentimes we see that with people whose work becomes their passion. It drowns out other aspects of their life, if you like. And the unfortunate thing about obsessive passion is that it doesn't lead to those positive outcomes. More often it leads to burnout or failed relationships, neglectful other parts of the identity, if you like. So it matters that you're passionate, but it matters that you are passionate in the right way.
Denise, thank you for that. In lots of people that I've worked with and provided coaching for, and the topic of passion comes up. For lots of people, when I say, so what are you passionate about going forward? that many people will go, yes, well, I'm really passionate about this, and or this person, or these people, or this idea, this hobby, or whatever it is. But actually, for a sizable number of people, they find that a difficult question to answer. And very often in discussion, they go, actually, along with my loved ones, my career has been my passion. I'm now giving that away. I'm now stopping that. What do I do? And I suppose that's my question to you. If you are in that situation, what do you think people need to think about in that situation?
Yeah, I think they need to be encouraged, because when we look at identity development, oftentimes we think that adolescence is the point where we sort of fuse and create our identity. And that's a pivotal point in our life. But actually, the research shows that these later years, that stepping out sort of phase in our life, is really richly generative. We have huge life experience. We pretty much know who we are at that stage, and we have more time to explore our passion. So that's a perfect time for you to start thinking about, what are my passions, and which are obsessive, coercive passions, and which could be harmonious. It might be that you have old passions that you buried when you were a child. Perhaps they weren't appropriate to, socially or what have you, but they still burn. You can still dust those off. It might be that you want to discover new passions, because we change our passions to uphold a sense of who we are at any stage in our life. So I suppose that, if you're stepping out and you're feeling that sort of looking into the void, if you like, have hope, because we are open systems. We can change at any point. And it matters that you think about the passions that you used to have, the passions that you're curious about, and the passions that might sustain you in who you'd like to become. Because when it resonates with you, and when it's meaningful, and when it's important to you, it integrates into your sense of identity. So important to think ahead and explore, who might I be in this next phase of life, and what passions will sustain that.
Denise, thank you. That's so helpful. And I suspect for people who are listening to this, if they are facing that thing of, where do I find my passions? I love that idea of look back to the passions from a time gone past, but also just be up for looking for the new ones, uncovering the new ones, and then focusing on that. Denise, thank you very much indeed for that. I know that if people would like to contact you, and your details are on the website, you will be delighted to respond to them. And I think for all of us in stepping out, we will make sure that passion becomes something that is part of the conversations we have with people as they're preparing for the next steps. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Well, it's my pleasure.